Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Don Hutchison is joining us. Stevie and Craig are back here in the studio celebrating an England loss today, as is Don back at home. Smiley faces all around.
Oh, it was a... Oh, get some headlines in the papers tomorrow.
Yeah, oh yes, there will. Absolutely there will. Actually, you came up with one. You were bringing up all the Greek tragedies.
I've got one.
Oh,
yeah. Here's the headline.
I don't think you can...
Lee car crash.
Well,
Greek
we'll see.
tragedy, that was it.
Greek tragedy, he was coming out with them already. Yeah. Oh well. Craig and Don, after watching the match today, do you think Foden, Saka, Palmer can all play in the same team?
Go on, Don.
I do. Just not all over the place. Put them in the proper positions. Tell them to be disciplined and give them a bit of structure. I think they can, but you can't just be wild with them and say, right, you lot are on here. Here's the team. Right, just go and play where you want. Don't work.
What Don said.
All right. Well, this one's for you, Craig. How much pressure is on Postecoglou in Spurs' next match versus West Ham?
Yeah, I think it's starting to build a little bit from, not necessarily from the board, I would imagine. It might do, but I think I've noticed a little turn in the fans a little bit. Particularly when he comes out after games, as he did after the Brighton game, where they basically folded like a cheap suit in the second half. They were 2-0 up. And he came out, and I think, to paraphrase him, he said, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. Entertaining football. And that got the Spurs fans, a lot of them, a little bit saying, well, come on. We're enjoying the football, but again, we need to have some defensive responsibilities here. And he was almost blasé about it, saying, yeah, it's what we do. I'm going to continue doing it. And at the end of the day, you know, if they cave in like that, again, on more than... The fans are starting to get a little bored of it, I think. That's how I sense it. I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy the football. I really enjoy watching it, but I think it's gone beyond that if you're a Tottenham fan, and it is like, okay, how about now and again we have some respect for the defensive aspects of the game? And
who would have thunk it?
What?
Who would have thunk it, right? You sit through Conte and you sit through Mourinho, and the frustration is there any chance we play some football here or what? Instead of this men behind the ball, right?
Oh.
And then, 18 months, two years later, is there any chance we can get some men behind the ball? I mean, does that sum up supporters or what?
Well,
I think it goes back to that word we've used today a lot. We're talking about England is balance. I mean, I think there is a balance between this fantastic all-out football that Postecoglou's teams play. And if you're a neutral, we're all sitting watching games. The Tottenham-Brighton game was like, oh, that's fantastic. You know, they got battered in the first half, Brighton. Then Tottenham got battered in the end. They're throwing bodies forward. And if you're watching, this is great. But if you're a Tottenham fan, you must be enjoying the football. But I think it's maybe a little frustrating as well. And fans turn. They turn on the dime, don't they, in the fickle. Fans are fickle. As soon as you get a couple of bad results, they're like, the manager's the worst thing since sliced bread, you know. Apparently, Postecoglou is clueless now. Is some of the terminology. Clueless. That's not the case.
no. All right.
Not clueless.
Stevie, do you hold any resentment toward Madrid after Liverpool's run-ins against them in the Champions League recently? Would you be upset if Klopp ends up there in a couple of years? I think a lot of fans would consider it a betrayal.
No. Not at all. No, not at all. No, absolutely not.
No to both. No to the resentment felt towards Madrid,
No.
and no to being upset if Klopp ended up there.
I would have no problem if Klopp ended up at Real Madrid whatsoever. Why should anybody at Liverpool have a problem with Jurgen Klopp going anywhere other than one place? I mean, and that's it in a nutshell. And the same with
You
players.
mean Man United?
Correct. And the same with players. You know, the thing with Liverpool and Man United is, I don't know whether it's unique, but certainly in the UK, I can't think of any player who swapped a club who would get as much grief for the rest of the playing days doing that, going from Liverpool, particularly Liverpool, to Manchester United. I mean, Michael Owen should be one of the most revered, or should be revered along with all the other Liverpool greats, but he's not. And that's only because he went to Man United. So it's there's proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
And so Jurgen Klopp can go anywhere he likes. Except Man United.
For Manchester United.
I think Mitch is. I would imagine Stevie, the most sensible Liverpool fans, probably most of them, wouldn't care less, because he did such a good job. He had such a relationship with the supporters there, and he achieved. So I don't. Well, they call him Mitch, or I like the other name there. Robbo's lost hair.
That was lost a long time ago.
Now, I think if he'd said, I'm taking a break, as he did, and had he walked out of Liverpool after taking the break, and a month later he popped up at the Bernabeu, that's a different kettle of fish.
Right.
But that's not the case.
No, because obviously he's in another role now.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, have a day off.
What was that one with Steve Bruce? He was at Palace, right? And he said to Parish, who's in charge there, he said, look, I want to go home, because he'd been living away. Because obviously Palace is down in London, he's from Northwest. Northwest. But then, 2 weeks after he left, he got a job somewhere.
Birmingham?
No, it wasn't in Birmingham. Oh, come on, I'll look it up. Go on, move on,
All right.
I'll look it up.
Here we go, technical Stevie.
Robbie Savage done the same, didn't he?
Yeah.
Robbie Savage done the same. He was somewhere and said, I'm homesick, I want to leave, and went further away from home.
Well, Gordon Jury did. I always tell this one.
Jury, yeah.
Gordon Jury, who I was at Chelsea with, Scottish international, who Stevie knows. Talking about not being revered by fans. I mean, I know I'm not by Chelsea fans because I always say things, but Jukebox Jury, he is absolutely despised because he said he wanted to go back up north. He was homesick. Well, he went north. But unfortunately, it wasn't the 400 miles north to Scotland. It was 10 miles north to Tottenham. So he went to North London.
Yeah.
So technically he did go north,
Yeah.
but he only went a few miles north to Tottenham. Oh my God. That got them going.
It was Birmingham, by the way.
It was.
It's still 3 hours away from his house.
As footballers, we have been known to tell the odd porky pie.
The odd porky pie. All right, well, let me go to you with this, seeing as though you might not be revered by Chelsea fans.
No, there's no might about it.
Do you think Chelsea will finish in the top four?
Well, I think they're going to give themselves... I think the answer is no. No, is it? The reason I say that is Villa's European exploits enough to take the edge off their Premier League season. And Tottenham are so unpredictable at the moment. So they've got a chance. They have a chance, but Stevie rightly said the other week, they have to sort the defensive side of it out if they're going to do that. And I think at the moment you have to say Villa, for example, if we think Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, and then they give an order, that's 3 teams. Mm-hmm. There's one more space. Unless Italy got the 5th, didn't they? England didn't get the 5th. Yep. Then it's that 4th spot, and Villa at the moment are just a better all-round.
Well, compared to what we thought coming into the season, they're way ahead of where we all thought they would be. Mm-hmm. In terms of, in every aspect, performance, results, you name it, everything has pretty much gotten better.
For Don, percentage chance that Trent Alexander-Arnold goes to Real Madrid, less than 50%.
Why does he always get the percentage question?
Because he's a mathematician.
I know. It's just, yeah.
It's got to be 50-50,
Don,
isn't
done
it?
his ACL. I mean, that might rise on a free, looking likely. I want to be wrong. I'll say 60.
Is his contract up in the summer?
Contract's up at the end of the season.
End of the season.
Yep.
So they could throw a little bit in there to Liverpool.
Yeah, Salah and Van Dijk as well.
I suppose it depends how the talks have gone between whether Liverpool feel there's a chance he's going to stay, or I don't know.
I think it's 50-50. If he stays in Liverpool, great. If he goes, it's got to be Real Madrid.
You're at Liverpool, as you were,
Yeah.
very successful years. And Real Madrid came along. Would that have been a tough one for you because of that squad of players? You know what I mean? That you had there with Ian Rush and Barnsley and Kenny was there and Hansen and all that to go. I'm not saying they were a better team than you guys at the moment, but it's one of the biggest clubs. You know what I mean?
I would probably turn.
Because I could see you in Spain.
Oh, why?
I could see him.
Hey,
I can't factor 80.
tell you what. Hey,
Right,
you imagine?
Dave, what would he eat?
hey, take your
Don, what would?
mince tatties. I don't want them. Give
would
me the
he eat?
paella. Get the paella over here.
What did you eat in Spain out of interest?
Chips, fries.
Can you imagine?
Patatas fritas.
Where would he have found a British store in Madrid?
That's all right. He knows Dan. Dan
you go-
Can you
survived.
imagine the shipments of British beef coming
There you
in?
go. There you go.
No, would you have gone with such a bigger club than
Well, when we
Liverpool?
were at our best, I would say no.
Right.
But right now, I mean, is there a bigger team on the planet than Real Madrid right now? I think it would be very hard to turn it down right now. Yeah.
You in Spain would have been brilliant.
Oh.
I would have
Can
loved
imagine
it.
you trying to talk Spanish. Not that I can't talk Spanish. Don't get me wrong.
But like a fly on the wall documentary on Stevie's time in Spain.
I'd be sat in the hood. I wouldn't really do it. I'd be walking about with an umbrella all the time.
Imagine training. He'd be training with one of those umbrellas in his head.
That would have been brilliant though.
Get one of the hats with a beer in it. Shook it in.
What changed in Scotland that they stopped producing world-class talent? For decades they produced stars, but besides Andy Robertson, is Ali McCoist the last really superb Scot? He's the last one to have gotten a Ballon d'Or vote.
No, there was a lot of good players. Even
Gary McAllister.
in my time playing, Gary McAllister. Look, whenever I met up with this, and I was the year after Stevie, and Don came towards the end when I was playing after the World Cup in '98. We always had players playing at big clubs, whether it was Celtic and Rangers or in England, at Leeds and at Liverpool and at Chelsea and at Tottenham, Man United, all these clubs. Gary McAllister was a quality footballer. Went to Liverpool and Gary played well late into his late 30s. I mean, terrific passer of the ball. Johnny Collins was playing at Monaco, was a good player. We had a lot of good players. Colin Hendry was one of the players that, along with Kevin Gallagher, won the league title at Blackburn. So there's not any of them apart from Andy Robertson is doing that now. So you were meeting up. And there are still players that McGinn's playing at Villa and Robertson, but
The volume's not there, is it?
even your squad players, right? The guys that used to turn up that weren't always playing, like Matt Elliott was playing at Leicester, Scott Gemmell was at Nottingham Forest, Davy Weir was at Everton. Jackie McNamara wasn't always playing; he was at Celtic. All the guys that were from 11 through to the 23, 24-man squad were all playing at big clubs. It's just not the case anymore. I mean, it's just guys are coming in from Kilmarnock and Motherwell and stuff. It's difficult.
I tell you what might
Really
help though,
difficult.
Craig. I tell you what might help. Scott McTominay, Billy Gilmore going to Napoli.
Yeah,
That might
agree.
help them. That might broaden them. I mean, they're not John Collins and they're not Gary Mack, but don't get me wrong. I mean, the way he started there, Scott McTominay's on fire there. They were top of the league last time I looked, so that'll make him a better player. But I think it's when you look at Scotland, you can look across the boys at the back, the boys in midfield. They're crying out for an Ali McCoist. They're crying out for a number 9. They haven't got a quality number 9. They need to find one. I mean, Che Adams, he's scoring a few goals in Torino, but he's not top draw. So they need to find one.
I don't know about you, Stevie, but when I get in the Scotland team, I'm talking about, and I get in the end I was 46 caps, but I'm talking about my first 10 caps when you're wet behind the ears and you're a bit nervous because all the other guys have 30, 40, 60 caps, you know what I mean? And I remember Gary Mack. Gary was the captain, and they just had standards, right? It was standards. And I remember playing against Greece actually in a World Cup qualifier at Hampden. It was the final game of the qualification, winner takes all. Pressure was cranked up, and I think it was only my 5th cap. I was absolutely breaking it, right? I was like, don't make a mistake, don't do this. But if I was in the wrong position or doing something wrong, Macker was onto me.
Aye.
You know what I mean? He was onto me. Hey! There was no like softly, oh, you're the new guy, you'll be all right, you'll be all right. He was like, hey, get in there, you know what I mean? And it was standards. And you either had to raise to those standards and do it, or you buckled. And just don't know if there is enough of those guys around now to be able to do that.
There's so many things you can point to. I mean, there's not as many people playing. There's not as much opportunity for kids growing up to just go and play with a ball. You know, there's not that many places where you can actually do it. There's certainly no money available. You know, you look at England in particular. All of these clubs have got these what do you call it, football of excellence buildings and academies, and they've got them in training every night, and they've got them. They're only playing at certain times with their team. In Scotland, there's no money to do that. Nobody has got any money that they can go and build this. What's Liverpool's 20 million? Chelsea's 20 million? They don't have 20 million to go and spend on schools of excellence. And so the majority of the kids in Scotland, if they're going to play the game, they've got to figure it out themselves. So the amount of people playing just goes straight down. And then you add computer games, you add social media, you add all the outside things that again curtails Scotland or Wales or any of these smaller countries who don't have the finances to have all these things that all the big teams and big countries have. Then the volume of player just goes down and down and down.
I know every country's got the games and everything, but it is a big thing. When we were growing up, I don't think there was a day when I was 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11, 12, that I ever came home from school and didn't go out with a ball on the street or up the park. My mother screaming me in when it was getting dark at 9 o'clock, get in, you've got school tomorrow, and you're out there with your mates and you're playing and you're learning all these skills. The kids go home now, and I know a lot of countries are the same, but a lot of countries have better facilities for coaching kids in Scotland. So if you don't have the kids out in the street doing it, you have to give them a platform to do it, and there's not enough of that. No. The kids are coming home now, particularly in the UK, in Scotland, and they're picking up a computer, they're watching every channel on the TV, they're sitting on their backside, they're not going out with the ball.
They're on the phone.
They're just not playing the sport, and the facilities there, from a technical standpoint, like the Dutch you go to Holland, and I know they've not got the best team at the moment, but you go to Holland and they have these kids doing all these things from 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, these little games, and they all come through. There's not a lot of that, certainly in Scotland. It's home from school, you know, on your phone, play games, and you just don't get that honing of the football skill or that passion for it.
Don, you need to get all those boys playing football and get them playing for Scotland.
Get them off. Sell your TVs.
Did you not see my Instagram feed the other day? I had the 3 of them in the garden doing kick-ups against the wall. It's like a little soccer school going on.
There you go.
No,
Don's going to stay in
especially
Scotland.
in the winter months. I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm on your Instagram all
but
the
the boys
time.
make a great point in the winter months. Sorry, in the winter months when it's dark, you know, in Scotland there's no 5G pitches, there's no floodlit pitches, not many anyway. So Stevie's right. I mean, money needs to be pumped in to help these kids, to get them off the sofas, to get them away from the computers and get them training at night times where there's floodlit 5G. Give them an incentive.
I'm a one-stop shop. I've got Twitter, X, call it what you want. I can't have. What's the point having?
Oh, one-stop shopping that you already have that. You don't have like TikTok or Instagram.
I don't have TikTok. I don't have Instagram.
You do all right on TikTok.
Facebook. I don't have any of the other ones because you'd just be duplicating, wouldn't you? Really?
Maybe.
No? He's got TikTok. You get TikTok?
I've got TikTok.
What the hell do you do with TikTok?
I watch it.
What?
Yes,
I watch it.
This is correct.
It is correct.
I don't put anything on it. I just watch it.
He's got TikTok.
Yeah. I gave him a new one to follow today on TikTok.
What do you
I'll tell you
watch?
what, just anything's on it. I just scroll through it and watch it.
Tell you what, I don't think I've met anybody that watches the amount of garbage that you watch. I mean, I've come in here. I've come in here before, right? And he's been on his computer. This is a long time ago, and this is when we were at our old desk, and I've leaned over. It's nothing bad, don't worry. And I'm like, what are you watching? He was watching cruise ships crashing into port. So I'm like,
Me and Marina used to watch all that stuff.
I'm right behind his desk. So hey, come and have a look at this.
He watches some.
Yep, he does.
Some.
When you're named captain for your team, what's the additional responsibilities you take on for a match? Do you have to do a pre-game speech, start a dialogue with the referee before a match, or anything else?
No, I mean, I only
Get rotten jobs, don't you?
captain Scotland once. I captained Celtic a few times, but Tom Boyd was the captain. I was club captain at Derby, off the back of Darryl Powell. Not really. I just think you have to show. I wasn't one for all that. You know, I would talk to we had a lot of young players. I'd always talk to them about the game and try and help them. But I just think when you're a captain, particularly when you've got younger players, it's not about what you say. It's more about what you do. You've got to try and play as a leader. You know what I mean? You can't hide. You've got to be. Can't ask them to do something that you wouldn't do. But it didn't really change much for me, to be honest.
I was thinking all the rotten jobs that come with it.
What are they
Well, you got to sort the tickets out. You got to go and get all the tickets, then give everybody the tickets.
Have you?
And then,
I've never had to do that.
Aye, and then. Well, the worst thing is, Nate, now again, it's completely different nowadays. So I'm not sure whether captains of a team even bother with any of that. But the way it used to work with us, you had to get the tickets, give the tickets to the players, everybody got 4 each. Now, we used to have a tiny little players' lounge. It was probably the size of this studio. And you could only get 2 tickets each for the lounge. I mean, think about it. You were getting 4 tickets for the game.
Right.
And you only got 2 tickets for the lounge. So it was unreal. People were trying to sneak people in, try to duplicate tickets. I mean, nowadays they've got.
So how many
they've
people?
got crashes and all kinds of that.
So if there was 4 tickets and only 2 people to get in, what's the percentage, Don, of people that didn't get in?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question.
But remember,
I'd say
Don, the
50.
candy lounge was next door. So what you would do is you
tiny.
would try and get them in the candy
Tiny.
lounge, and then after 5 or 10 minutes, you would get the door in between and go, and you come. And then before you know it, everybody's like, the place is moved.
Kay, that little lounge, Kay, that Stevie's talking about, back in the day, we used to have our dinners in there. Right. And me and Steve McManaman he was about 17, Steve McManaman, and I was about 18. And we used to eat with Stevie and Rushy and Barnesy and all the first team players. And they used to serve me and Steve McManaman a half a pint of Guinness every single day to try and fill us up, try and stock us up. And Stevie was livid that me and Steve McManaman got some Guinness every single day. He was fuming.
Do you remember that?
I couldn't get my head around it. What's going on here? I've never seen it before in my life.
Off the back of that question, though, Kay, off the back of that question, when I was at Everton club captain, we used to, my job was to sort of designate which players would go and do certain events. So we used to go to Alder Hay Hospital, a children's hospital. So I, as a captain, would go and I'd say, right, I'm taking Stevie today, I'm taking Craig. Kay, you're coming, right? The other guys have got to go and, do a sign-in, or they've got to go to supermarket and do a sign-in there, or little things like that where it's all off-the-field sort of stuff. And the only other little thing was you're the sort of man in the middle between being in the dressing room, and it was Walter Smith who was the manager, and being a link between the lads in the dressing room and Walter. So every now and again I've got to Walter and say, look, the lads are asking for some more training. Like, we need to train a little bit harder, or Gaffer, like, the lads are knackered, like, and have a day off. Tiny little things like that.
Right. So there are all these.
I remember when I was interim captain at Celtic when Tommy Boyd was injured, and so they decided there was a break in the season, that because I was the captain at the time, that they sent me into Wim Janssen's office to ask if we could go for a warm weather training trip to Spain, right? Which ultimately was just a drinking trip. So I was like, right, so they said, you're the captain, get in. So I went in. Murdo McLeod was sat, Brian Scott, the physio, great guy, Wim Janssen. He got the paper, he was reading the paper. He couldn't even see his face, right? So I'm going, like, the lads have sent me in and we're thinking it'd be a great idea for the season to freshen us up. We go to Spain for 2 or 3 days to train and blah, blah, and I'm trying to sell it. And he just went like that. No. Put the paper back up. And I was like, okay. I went back in the dressing room and all the faces were like that. What did he say? What did he say? I went, I said, I was in there fighting her corner. I said, but you wouldn't have it. I just walked out. But it was brilliant because they always expect you to send the captain in because he'll get the... But Janssen was brilliant. He thought, yeah, 3 days in Marbella, these lot are going to be out, getting in trouble. No chance.
Yeah. I'm the one with the beer. So we were playing, I don't know if you were still, where's Hutch? You must have been. I think we were playing at Forest, which is like, it was like a 2.5 hour drive. And so as soon as came, it was all bananas and water and all that nonsense. And we were all used to
all that.
We were used to,
If you're at home, don't drink water or eat banana.
Real food and drink.
yeah, we were used to fish and chips and cans of beer, right? And so it wasn't that long in, and he had already stocked all the beer and all that. So we're all having a wee conflict, and right, go and ask him if we can at least get 1 crate of beer. It's like 2.5 hours, 1 beer is not going to kill us. So I went, aye, all right. So on a Friday, I went up to Tunis and I said, hey, Gaffer, I said, listen, boys and I have been talking. Is there any chance we could have like a crate of beer on the bus on the way back from Nottingham? And he went, go back and tell the lads, if you can't wait 2.5 hours to have a can of beer, then you have a problem. And I was like, no, you're right. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Seriously. You go and tell them. If they can't wait 2.5 hours to have a beer, there's something wrong. There's got a problem. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right.
You should have went, but they can't. No, it wasn't them. It was
Yeah, of course it was.
Exactly.
Speaking of bananas and all that tripe,
Oh, that rubbish.
Stevie, do you think you'd be able to cope if you played today, given the strict dietary regimes players have to follow?
Well, I would, because I wouldn't have been able to do it. You know, it would have been a choice, wouldn't it? If you want to be a professional footballer and be physically at the same level as everybody else, then you can't eat fish and chips, drink beer, have mince and tatties every night, crisps, you know, cans of Coke. So it would have been a choice, which I would obviously have taken the choice to be a player. So it wouldn't have been a problem because I wouldn't have been able to do it.
You'd have been a specimen. Yeah.
What, he'd have been a Honda athlete.
What?
Glad I got that right.
That's a scary thought, that.
You know what? I don't think it'd have been the diet, and it would have been more frustrating. I think it'd have been the lack of days off. It just seems now that it's like, you know, these guys are just. I've listened to some of the pros talking about some of the managers, and they said, particularly the foreign managers come in, it's like in Sunday, in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, play, and the next day, always in.
But I'll tell you a story. So we played, when I was at the Res, we played Man United. So Nicky Phelan came in, Fergie came in, the Dutch lad's name again, coach.
Oh, really, René Millenstein.
So they were in after we finished the game, and we were talking away. And I was asking Mick Phelan, because I knew him the best, about, you know, the players and all the other things. And he said a strange thing. He said, you know, even when we give them a day off, he said, so obviously the coaches are in because they've got the resis and the young guys and all the rest of it. He said, even on the days off that they get, not that they get that many, he said, you'll find half a dozen of them walking around the place. Just because they don't do anything else. You know, you hear us talking about being in the pool team or the darts team or doing this and doing that. They don't have that. They don't have it. A, because they can't, and they can't go and drink beer, but they don't have the social life that we had. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was like, seriously? He goes, yeah, they don't know what to do themselves. So they end up just coming in and going into the gaff and having a cup of tea and just watching the training and
Like
that. What?
Well, just to end, because we did talk about you being off the crisps.
Huh?
He's off the crisps.
Listen.
What? Off the crisp, by
He's
the way.
off the
I'm gonna
crisp?
buy the
What?
crisp.
I've got 2 things to tell you about
Oh,
this.
no, he's not done. He's not.
First of all, our friends at Spoonful of
He's
Britain
not,
have said
mate.
that they'll be sending a care package, and I said, can you wait? He's off the crisps for a while. Send us it after that. And secondly, one of our viewers was actually a little bit concerned and prefers you to be on the crisps and said he hopes it wasn't doctor's orders because they actually like it better that you are on the crisps. They think you should have that treat that you like and deserve.
I will eventually be back on them, just not right now.
He's been off the crisps for a good few weeks now. How long?
Well, Don, the crisp, the packet, well, we need to say chips.
There'll be a packet in the car.
Chips.
Chips.
There'll be a packet in the
Honestly.
car.
No, he's
I've told Eleanor not to get any.
It's chips here in the US, but we call it crisp.
Crisp,
So we call
yeah.
it chips, crisp.
Yeah, yeah,
Better
yeah.
not to buy any.
But it's not just that. It's there's, you know the normal packet of chips? There's normal packets of chips and then there's Stevie's packets of chips.
As Don found out.
Oh,
It's that size.
try and get one.
I kid
They
you
rip
not,
me
it's
head
that
off.
size. It's that size.
That's why I still
Give
not
me
having
some
them.
of, give me some of them, Stevie.
I mean, he could actually get in. He could actually get in the bag and eat them. It's that big. He'd open it, get in, and eat them.
Remember the look, Kate?
So what's the chips?
Kate, do you remember the look he gave me?
Yeah.
Remember the look he gave me when I asked him for some of his
He let you
crisps?
away with a couple,
Well, I'm not
and then you
being
tried
funny,
to get
He
in.
did. He
Hold
put a
on.
little. He put a little. Put a
But you
little
walked
couple in
past
the
and
cup.
just went like that.
I ate there,
I
I
was
went,
like,
go on
hold
then.
Oh man. Yeah, we've got to go anyway. He's off the crisps until further notice.
Yep.
Make sure to join us tomorrow. Stevie will be still off the crisps, I can assure you.
Yep.